Welcome to Tatev Talks, where brains meets banter, hosted by me, the future Dr. Sarkissyan. On this episode, I'm going to read you the most ridiculous emails my students have sent me so far. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining us on episode 6. I teased this on my Instagram a few days ago, but I will be reading you the most ridiculous emails I have gotten from my students so far, just because I think there's some things we need to talk about and like, why is this happening? Before we do that, I do want to introduce my co-host, Luke. I think Luke will join us on all of the future episodes. I think he just really loves to be on this episode. He loves to receive love from you all, mostly from my students who come and tell me that they love Luke and they're concerned as to whether or not Luke is a real dog because he doesn't move in the entire episode. He's real. See, I'm petting him. He's real. Okay. Then we also are going to tell you, or I'm going to tell you my weekly obsession, which is right here, Topo Chico. Shout out to Topo Chico. This is the best fizzy drink you can ever have. It's literally just sparkling water. But if Topo Chico wants to sponsor me, they totally can. I'm willing and open and able. So if you know someone that works at Topo Chico, let them know that I love their product and they can totally sponsor me. So I've been a lecturer at Cal State LA for a pretty long time, going on 3 years now, and I teach every semester, including summer. So I've taught a decent amount of semesters and a decent amount of students, enough to tell you certified for 100% fact that I get way too many emails. I've seen everything that you can possibly think could be sent in an email, whether that's correct things or incorrect things. I have seen it. And I'm sure all the faculty, if you're watching this, if you've been a teacher or want to be a teacher, you're thinking about this right now. Student emails are the most interesting part of the job, right? Because when students talk to you to express an idea in person, it might be a little bit easier for them to just tell you what they want, right? They see you face to face, you know who they are, they know who you are. And it's just like, hey, I'm like walking up to you right after the class that I'm in. I'm asking you a question about something you already talked about. But in an email, they forget that interaction doesn't really happen. And it's just a literal and electronic message from one person to another. And they forget to insert all of the necessary pieces of information to get their message across, right? So sometimes I've had emails without greetings. I've had emails without the student's name attached to them. I've had emails where students emailing me, but they're in 2 classes and they're asking about an assignment and I don't know which class they're talking about. I've had emails where students just ask the question without a greeting, without a subject line, without anything, like whatever it is that they want. They're just asking what it is that they want. And so they're forgetting to do this, I guess, what it is, like conversational email, right? They're forgetting to do all the contextual things that you would do in an email to make your email make sense. And I'm not sure why that is. I think a part of that has to go back to like what generation everyone is in right now and how attached everyone is to their phones, and that they don't understand like emailing is not the same as texting, right? I've had students email me like 7 times in a period of 10 minutes, like back-to-back emails, because they're emailing me a question. I don't have a chance to even read it to respond. And I get a second email with the thought, and it's just like a thought process, right? And we forget that emailing is not text messages. So kind of to put that into context, and I think I often don't, like I mentioned this in my classrooms, like, hey, there's email etiquette. We should talk about this. Don't email, me like this. Don't email your other faculty members like this. But oftentimes, like, I don't bring the emails as examples in my classroom setting because I never want to put anyone on blast in my classroom setting. Everyone knows how each other talks, like in that email, in that classroom. And so they'll sometimes know who sent the email. So I don't like to do that in my classroom settings, just to not call anyone out. But We're using this as a way for us to see how ridiculous emails could be, you know, and then also like what's the proper way to email your faculty member, because you want to maintain a level of professionalism with your faculty members, not just, you know, if you're asking them for letters of rec later on, but because you should be professional with your faculty members regardless. So we want to make sure to ensure that. And part of doing that is by making sure we know how to email properly and ask our questions properly. So this is the purpose of this entire episode, is just to have a debriefing session. It's to laugh a little bit on all the ridiculous emails that I've gotten. And of course, this isn't all of them because they won't fit in the entire episode, but it is the really good ones and the really funny ones. I laugh them off. I'm absolutely not offended by any of these emails. I'm not upset by any of these emails. Like, it happens. I laugh at them and then we talk about it. I email back and I'm like, hey, like, email etiquette, let's talk about this, blah, 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 right? So never ever upset about any of it. We're just using this as a learning curve. This is me looking at my producer to make sure I'm saying the word correctly. Is it learning curve? We're using this as a learning curve? No, we're learning this as a learning experience. We're using this as a learning experience. This is a learning moment. It's a teaching moment. That's what I was looking for. We're using this as a teaching moment because I'm a teacher and everything is going to be a teaching moment. Let's get into it. Also, happy December to everyone. This is my favorite month in the entire year. Let's get into it. And we will be putting up little screenshots. Oh, I should preface this by saying that if I call out one of your emails and you're watching this episode right now and you feel personally victimized, I am sorry. But also, why'd you send me the email? You know what I mean? Like, don't do it. And then you wouldn't be called out at this very moment. So this is the first one. It was sent to me by a student very long time ago, years ago. And it says, I was unable to submit my research topic. Is it fine if I email it to you? That's it. There's no subject line. There's no hello. It's not fine if you email it to me. Also, like, yes, this said, I was unable to submit my research topic. Is it fine if I email it to you? No, I'm okay. Thank you. All right. Next. This is a student who wants to enroll in a future class. Okay. It says, hi, Professor Sarkissyan. I'm trying to create my schedule for spring semester 2024. And I'm wondering if you could send me the course syllabus to see if it'll work out for me. The class is titled blah, blah, blah. Thank you. No, I can't because two, you're asking way too in advance. The class is not set up yet. So I cannot work for you to make your life easier. B, the class time and schedule is already set. So I'm unsure as to why the syllabus would make it any easier. Like, this is the time of the class. You either are able to attend or you're not. Like, I'm concerned as to why this email was even, like, who sat there and thought, I'm going to email the professor and ask them to send me something so then I can figure out whether or not it's going to work for me, because that's not how it works. Okay. This is the next one. I should preface this one by saying that in my class, we do context, so it makes sense. In my class, most of my classes, we do a research project. So it's not the full project, it's a proposal. On the point of the research proposal is for students to be able to critically think about a topic that they would want to do, and then have the ability to kind of carry it out in the sense that they're doing an introduction, they're doing a literature review, they're creating methods, and they're creating a way for their research question to be answered through their research methods, right? And so to do that, there's a couple of things that are really important. First, it's extremely important that I know what their research question is, right? I guide them through this project. First, it's important that I know what their research question is. then it's important that they create like an understanding of the literature that's around there. And the way that I do that is have them create annotated bibliographies. If you haven't heard of an annotated bibliography, it's literally like a summary of a research article. So I have a template, but you would cite the article and then you would write what the important parts are of that article, right? That's telling me that you're doing the literature review, but that's also that's also helping you like contextualize what the literature is to move forward and see what kind of methods you can do. And in doing the annotated bibliography, you can see what other people's methods are to see if you want to do similar things, right? So it's really just a really interesting way of helping you guide that project. So I got this email from one of my students. Hello. I got this email from one of my students and it says, legit, no subject line. It just says, wait, so then what was the point of doing the annotated bibliography for this assignment if we aren't going to mention it? So confused because you would mention it because your annotated bibliography would be articles that you would be using in your paper. But also, where's the subject line? And also, why is there no greeting? You know what I'm saying? Okay, this one's a really good story, but I'm going to go to another one. I get an email from a student midway into the semester that basically says that they would like to drop out of the course, that they're withdrawing from the course, and if I could accept their withdrawal. And withdrawals are accepted for specific reasons, but anyways, we've discussed this, and I'm accepting their withdrawal. But it wasn't attached to the email. So to the original email, I replied saying, hello, I understand. I accept the withdrawal, but it's not attached to the email. If you send it to me in the email, I will accept the withdrawal. And to which the student responds saying, as much as I really, really don't want to, I think it's too late for me to pass the course, right? I know there's an opening for the spring, but I heard the professor's like really harsh. This is how I'm reading it. I heard the professor's like really harsh and I need to like pass in order to graduate in the spring. So what do you suggest I do? I suggest you send me the withdrawal petition since you already asked me to withdraw, and I can sign it and then you can continue on with your day. That's what I suggest you do. Because it sounds like to me you're asking for a passing grade without doing any of the work. But I do not suggest that. So the next one, I had the student email me. It's a very long email, but but I'm just going to read you the first sentence. I want to reach out to you and it's so funny. Hi, Professor. I want to reach out to you and see if it is possible to attend your class virtually / hybrid instead of in person in the summer. I work from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and my work isn't flexible with the hours. And I'm just not going to read the rest of it, but it's a pretty lengthy email. And the class was in the time that her work was scheduled. So I think that I didn't like have a chance to respond to her original email until she emailed me a second time. And sorry, I responded to her email. I don't have the response right here because it was lengthy and I didn't catch it in the screenshot. But I responded to her email basically saying that like, no, you can't. There is no hybrid option for the class. And also if you miss the class, you're missing the content, you're missing the lecture, you're not going to be able to pass. That's just not possible to pass the class without attending it. Also, like you're enrolled in the class, so you're kind of expected to be there and attendance is part of the grade. So the answer is no. To which she said, "Hi, Professor, thanks for taking the time to reply. I talked to my work and I got Mondays off so I can attend class. However, I won't be able to attend on Wednesdays. That's the best I can do. Will I still be able to pass the class? Is there any way possible?" To which I said, unfortunately, no. You will be missing half of the course. Most of the activities and discussions take place on Wednesday, so you're missing a lot of points there. And you wouldn't be able to pass. I don't know why that was a question. Like I'm unsure as to why that's a possible, what happened to make anyone think that like I'm going to take the class, but not enroll and pass the class. And I often, I've had students in classes where I notice that they don't always attend class, right? And they'll come on quiz days and they'll come on group presentation day and they'll come on whatever, but they don't come during the actual lectures and stuff. I totally get that. We all have like our lives to do and like things going on that's not school, and it's not always our first priority, right? But at the end of the day, like you enroll in the classes, you pay for the classes, people take time out of their lives to like make that class enjoyable, not just the professor, but the classmates around you too. So, and you take a lot more from the class than just lecture. Like there's a lot that happens in the classroom environment that's not a purely lecture based situation, right? There's a lot of discussion based. There's a lot of like activities that happen. There's like discussion amongst the classmates that happen. There's just building like friendships and teamwork and things like that happen in the classroom with that environment that you don't get in a hybrid setting and that you do not get when you're not attending. So I'm not sure why that is an acceptable question. Like for me, that's not an acceptable question. Like, no, you cannot pass the class without attending. Also, there's, people that want to attend class. There's people that are like on wait lists for not just my classes, but my classes and other faculty members' classes wanting to attend. So taking up a seat when you're not going to be in that environment, taking from the environment and gaining from the learning experience makes no sense to me. So long story short, apparently this person's work schedule was actually very flexible because they ended up enrolling in my class and were there all the time. They were there all the time for the summer course, right? And at the end of the summer session, I get an email from the same person and it says, "Hi, Professor, I really enjoyed your class. I was wondering if you could help me by filling out a letter of recommendation for my grad school application since you are my last class at CSULA. I am enrolling at blah, 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 blah. Thank you in advance." And there were screenshots attached to it that I think had to do with the letter of recommendation, right? So there's a couple of things that are like really significant about this email. Firstly, this is not how you ask for a letter of recommendation. Most importantly, like this is not how you ask for a letter of recommendation. I could help you by forwarding you the syllabus. I could help you by giving you an extension on an assignment. I could help you by creating a study guide for the class and sending it out to everyone. I could help you by telling you what a meme is to make for my class as extra credit. I could help you by, doing a million other things, but you don't ask for a letter of recommendation by saying, "Could you just help me by writing a letter of rec?" That's not an appropriate way to ask for a letter of recommendation. I think I've talked about this on the first episode we had of the podcast, but a letter of recommendation is it's a heavy ask. It's not an easy thing to ask for a professor to do. It's a very heavy ask, and you want to make sure that your professor knows you enough to write you a good letter of recommendation, right? You also want to make sure they're writing you a strong letter of recommendation, not just a letter, because a letter doesn't matter. It needs to be a strong one. It needs to be a specific one. It needs to be one where they can give examples of what you did in the classroom, of what you did outside of the classroom, of how you benefited, right? And how the professors benefited from a relationship with you. That's what makes a strong letter of recommendation. So you don't want to just ask anyone for that. And it's not like a nonchalant thing. It's not just like "Hey, can you just like really quickly just like do this thing for me?" That's not at all what it is. And so that was the first thing. The second thing was that if they were already enrolling in the program, then they wouldn't need the letter of recommendation because they would have already been accepted and enrolled. So there's also that. Then it was also like, I'm not sure if like I was a good faculty member I don't even remember what the grade was in this class, but like, was it a good class and a good experience? And that's why you're asking, or just because I'm the last professor you had? Because that changes the way that I want to write you a letter of recommendation as well, right? It's not because I've had an impact on you or that you made an impact in the class or anything like that. It's just like, "Oh, you were the last person I made a connection with. Could you just write me one?" So I think we often forget how heavy the letters of recommendation are, especially when we're asking for them this lightly. They matter. They're extremely heavy. Like, I have to sign my name to that. And I'm saying that I recommend the student to go to this program, which means a lot to me. I get a lot of students asking me for letters of recommendation, and I do them for students that I think I could recommend, right? I could see them in grad school. I have seen their potential and their success, and I'm recommending them. And if I were to write a letter of recommendation for someone who's like 100% top tier and I know them really well, and the same letter of recommendation for someone I don't know as well, then my first letter doesn't matter as much either. So I'm signing my name to these things. They matter to me. They should matter to you. You want your professors to write you good letters. You want them to be strong letters. So make sure you ask for them in appropriate ways. Please ask for them in appropriate ways. However, that was not the worst ask that I have ever gotten for a letter of recommendation. The worst ask, I don't know if I would say worst, but one of the more horrible asks that I had gotten for a letter of recommendation was the one that I didn't get. I had a student put me as a recommender without asking me for a recommendation. So I received a few emails from an organization, thou shall not be named, and with the name, it was like, hey, Sarkissyan, you have been not chosen, but like this person, I know had the person's name, has asked you to submit your letter of recommendation, like, please submit your letter of recommendation for blah, blah, blah. And I was like, And I waited a couple of days because I thought maybe they were in a rush and they had to like write a name down and they're going to send me an email about it. So I waited a couple of days, and every day I waited, I got a reminder email from the organization. So the organization sent me an email and said, don't forget to submit your letter for blah, blah, blah. And I was like, And then the third day came and it was like, don't forget to send your letter for blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, blah did not ask me for an email. So for a letter. So I had to ask blah, blah, blah. I said, hi, blah, blah, blah. I hope you're doing well, period. Usually it's an exclamation point, but period. I just received a reference request from insert organization name here. Mind telling me a little bit about that? Best, Tatev. To which blah, blah, blah replies to me saying, hello, Dr. Sarkissyan. I had to bring this one closer. I'm good. And yourself? Yes, I have applied for the blah, blah, blah position, and I had to put 3 references. So I decided to mention you. Hope that doesn't bother you. Yes, that absolutely bothers me. That bothers me to the core of my being. Nothing has bothered me more than this, except for the fact that I'm pretty sure mentioned is spelled incorrectly here. Imagine it's not. I have to do that again because I don't know if this is spelled incorrectly. Oh, it's not. I have to do that again. Yes, it bothers me. Yes, I have not agreed to write you a letter of recommendation. So adding me as a reference is inconsiderate. It's very rude. And also now you've ruined your chances of me actually writing you a letter, because that's not nice. That's not a nice thing to do. It's not right to say that someone would write you a letter without asking them for a letter of for if they would write you one. It's like expecting someone to do something for you without asking if they're willing to do the thing. Like, it just makes no sense. So all this talk about letters of recommendation is just really important for y'all to rewatch episode 1, where we talk about letters of recommendation and how to ask for one and what makes a good letter and what doesn't. So please go to watch episode 1, fast forward. There are little tabbies there. You can just fast forward to the letter of recommendation part. If you have more questions about letters of recommendation, feel free to add them in the chat or in the comments, and we'll get to them and we'll answer them on the next few episodes. So listen, I could talk about this forever, but watch episode 1 before you ask questions, please. Thank you. All right. I have one more really good story, but let me read you this one. It says, hi, Professor. I just wanted to ask, how many more do we have in the next couple of weeks that we meet? Thank you. How many more what? It just says, I just wanted to ask, how many more do we have in the next couple of weeks that we meet? I don't know. I'm unsure of what you're asking. I truly have no clue. So I said, please check the syllabus. And also, the subject line is future assignments. So I'm assuming he's talking about future assignments, but also like you should keep that in your email. That should be in your question. I just wanted to know how many more future assignments we have in the next couple of weeks. My response would still be, please check the syllabus, because that's why we have a syllabus. But regardless, the subject matter of your question should be in your question. You know what I mean? Okay. Well, if you don't know what I mean, reevaluate the way you send emails. All right. So I got this email at the start of a semester, and it said, "Hi, Professor. I was wondering if I could meet with you sometime this week to inquire about acquiring a letter of recommendation for a program." And when I read that first line and I was looking at the student's name, I was mad spiraling because I couldn't remember the student. I was like, oh my God, I haven't had that many. Like, there's no way I forgot the student. Like, where is this student from? Blah. And I had like just a major like spiral panic attack, right? So I went through all of my old class rosters to try to find the student, and I couldn't. And I thought, and I was just like hating myself because what a bad teacher I am. And I was like, let me just read the rest of the email because it was pretty lengthy. And the rest of and like see what's going on here, right? And the rest of the email reads, I would love any information you could give me to thrive in this internship should I be placed in it. You ready? I understand that I have not had you as a professor before, but I do feel like I relate to you in many ways. As a woman of color studying psychology and wanting to pursue a master's degree, I am willing to answer any questions you have. I think that's supposed to say, or complete any short-term tasks before the deadline of the application in order to demonstrate my capabilities to reassure you that your judgment is not misplaced. Please let me know if that's a possibility. So I have many, 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 many comments, like many, right? I don't have judgment except for the fact, because I don't know this person, except for the fact that I don't know you and you're asking me for a letter of recommendation. There's major judgment there because I don't know you. So why are you asking me I could not possibly write you a letter of recommendation because I don't know you. If you didn't know, on letter of recommendations from the recommender side, they ask us how long we've known the student. So no, I cannot write you one. The second one is that there's so many grammatical and structural errors in this email that even if I considered it, I wouldn't do it because you didn't reread the email before you sent it to me. You're asking for a huge thing, especially since I don't know you, and you didn't reread the email before you sent it to me. That's such a problem. So I say, I'm really sorry. I can't write you a letter of recommendation because I don't know you. Your recommendation should come from people that know you. But if you want to come into my office hours, we can talk and maybe I can help you with like a personal statement or something like that. Like, that's all fine. I can help you with those things, but I cannot write you a letter of recommendation. And like, I hope you get in and all that stuff, right? All great. So fast forward, I want to say like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, there was an assignment due for that course that I was teaching that semester. And it was a discussion post, and my discussion posts are supposed to be like 200 to 300 words. And there was a student who submitted like 6 words. And I was like, huh? Like my brain went, huh? So I looked at the name of the student that had submitted the 6 words for a 300 word assignment. And I saw it was the same name as a student who had emailed me asking me for a letter of recommendation, telling me that they had not had me as a professor before. So I emailed the student and I said, hi, hope your Monday is going well. I'm not sure why your email didn't include the fact that you're currently enrolled in my course. Please feel free to stop by my office hours so we can talk about the program or discuss anything else. Fortunately, still won't be able to write you a letter of recommendation because it was the 4th week of school. I don't know you enough to write you a letter of recommendation. To which I get a response. And it says, hello, I did not realize that either. And I just am unsure as what happened here, because you're enrolled in my course, but you emailed a random faculty member without realizing which faculty member you're emailing. So you're not sure about the faculty members that you're asking to write you a letter of recommendation. So it's kind of like a shot in the dark. You just went on the department's website and emailed a bunch of people asking to write you for a letter of recommendation. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. I really want to get it, but I just don't get it. I really don't get it. They said that they would love to meet with me regardless for any tips and tricks and stuff about applying, and then never came to my office hours. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, in all honesty. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but didn't end up meeting with the student and not sure if they got into the program that they were applying to. So I think that's it. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you on a negative note. I'm going to give you a few things that you should know about writing emails before we go. Okay. So first of all, you should have a subject line. That would be great. If you had a subject line, that would be amazing. The amount of emails that I have received that don't have a subject line is kind of crazy. So please have a subject line. Your subject line should be something related to do with class. If you're not attending class that day, say class absence date of. If you are going to be late, say late to class day of. If you're asking about an assignment, write the assignment's name in the subject line, right? Then you want to make sure to say hello, hi, good evening, good afternoon. Don't say a or yo or anything like that. Just say hey, hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Any greeting, right? Any blah, blah, blah. Professor or lecturer, doctor, whatever the case is, whatever your faculty member wants to be called, or whoever you're emailing. If it's first name, then first name. Then you want to add a one-liner. I hope your week is going well. I hope your Monday is starting off nicely. I hope you don't want to do the cliche one, I hope this email finds you well, because of all the memes I see on Instagram about that. So I don't do that one, but I do like this week, I'll write, I hope your semester's wrapping up nicely, right? Because it's week 15, we're finishing up the semester. So I hope your semester's wrapping up nicely, or I hope finals week is starting well for you, or good luck on finals, or something like that, right? So you want to do a one-liner that's a brief, nice comment before the start of your email. Then you want to say whatever it is that you're emailing. If you're emailing on Canvas, when you send your faculty member an email, it tells them that you're sending it from whatever class in whatever section. So you don't necessarily have to say, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I'm from your blah, blah, blah class that takes place at this time, because it has it there. So I know some faculty members are really big about please write your da, da, da. If you're emailing on Canvas, all that information is there. If you're emailing in an email, you might want to write that, right? Hi, you don't have to write your name, because your name should be in the signature when you write best, blah, blah, blah. But you should just write I'm currently enrolled in your blah, blah, blah class. Maybe that would be like a good liner. And then whatever your question is, please reread your email. Just a rule of thumb, reread your email so you don't have any errors. So you're making sure your message is being conveyed the way that you want it to convey. Just make sure that you're saying whatever it is you need to be saying in a correct and accurate way. So reread your email, and then you write, thank you for your time. Thank you in advance. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for blah, 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 right? Whatever it is. Best, your name. You can even write best, your name, and the class you're taking. So you don't have to say it in the context, but you also want to make sure to do this in paragraph format, right? So, hey, comma, or hello, Dr. Sarkissyan, comma, enter. I hope your day is going well. Exclamation point. Enter. I'm from your blah, blah, blah class. I wanted to know about the da, 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 da. Period. Enter. Thank you for your time. Period. Enter. Best. Blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. So it's not hard. You can do it. It becomes habit. Once you start doing it, I promise you will not be able to stop, but please start doing it. Emailing is something that you will need for the rest of time, and it's applicable in academic settings. It's applicable in work settings. It's applicable in every setting. It's applicable even if you're not planning on working for the rest of your life. If you're going to email someone to reserve you a table at wherever, you want to be proper about the way you email them. So make sure you know how email etiquette works, okay? Hey, hope your day is going well. Content of your email, best. Thank you so much. I promise you can do this. I believe in you. Dr. Sarkissyan believes in you. You can do this. It's going to be amazing. Send me all your proper emails. I would love to see them. Or send me the funny ones, actually. I would love to see those even more. All right, y'all. That's it for our email episode. There might be a part 2 of this email episode. But thank you for joining us today. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on social media, Tatev Talks Podcast or Dr. Sarkissyan's Instagram page. Thanks, y'all. See you next week.